All right, what's up and welcome to the channel. My name is Hellcat. Thank you for joining me today as we are looking at the best carry gun for every walk of life. No matter what income level you're at, whether you have unlimited funds and you can buy whatever the heck you want, or you're scrounging pennies and you are just trying to make ends meet, hopefully there's a gun on this list that will serve you and your family well. And these are guns that I have personal experience with. I've either shot them, carried them, or both, but either way, I've put my hands on each one of these guns. These are not only guns that I trust, but these are guns that, depending on if a family member or a friend came to me and said, hey man, I got this much money, what do you recommend? These are guns I would recommend to them, so you can rest assured that these are guns I personally trust and would trust to give to a loved one. And I love making these lists because there was once a time where I literally didn't even have 20 bucks to my name, so I understand what it's like to be scrounging for pennies but still want and need something for protection for me and my family. And so I totally get it. And like I said, I'm kind of sharing my life story in a way with y'all because I'm kind of going from these different levels that I've been able to kind of work up to and things like that. So it's almost an autobiography or something as far as these list of guns. Now, I didn't buy them in this order or anything like that, but as I've said, I definitely understand the struggle more or as much as anybody else, and I understand what it's like to kind of work your way up, and sometimes you got to do that. Nothing wrong with that. But the Second Amendment isn't just written for people with money. It's, you know, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, no matter who those people are. American citizen, you have that right. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to try to give you 3 guns in each category, so that'll give you a good variety of things to look at. Now, if you do find something on this list that you're interested in, you want to know more about it, I've done reviews on pretty much all of these guns or a version of the gun that I'm going to tell you about, so you can check out those videos for additional information. I'm not going to give you every spec here, but I can assure you I've given you a lot of information on each one of these guns in the dedicated review. So let's go ahead and get started with the first category, $250 and less. And the first gun I'm going to touch on here is the Taurus G2C. Taurus has been doing an incredible job at not really rebranding, but just making a comeback. Like really taking the reins of their company almost, at least from what it seems on the consumer side of things, and saying we need to make more reliable semi-autos. And the Taurus G2C was my first experience with these new and improved Taurus guns, right? So this is a fantastic gun. It's a little bit more of like a compact. So I want to say it came out somewhere around the time of the P365, maybe a little bit before. I don't know exactly whenever it came out, but regardless, it's like a 12+1 capacity gun. A little bit wider, but it's a great all-around home defense gun you could take to the range, and a gun that you could carry as well. There are holsters and there's sights and stuff available for these, so this is a great option, the Taurus G2C, especially if you want a gun that will kind of do a little bit of everything. It's not going to be the best carry gun, it's not going to be the best home defense, and it's not going to be the best shooter at the range, but it can do all of these things really well and help you to even teach somebody in your household how to use it without being too small or anything like that. Next gun we're going to talk about is the Ruger EC9S. Now, I've reviewed the LC9S in the past. This is a fantastic gun. And so the EC9S, it uses milled sights instead of standard sights. It's one of the biggest drawbacks with this gun, but again, for the price, you get a single stack gun. So this one's more dedicated for concealed carry, although it's still a pretty decent shooter. Not as good as the G2C, I would say, because it is a little bit smaller, a little bit thinner. But you get 7+1 capacity in the gun in the flush configuration. They do make extended magazines and stuff that you can get, I think, all the way up to 9 rounds, actually. Regardless, it does have a real set of sights on it, and it has a great trigger in the EC9S. That is one, especially if you want to carry, that's a good option to go with. And rounding out the list is another Ruger. Now, Ruger has never let me down, dude. As far as I can tell, in my experience, they're reliable, American-made, good firearms that don't break the bank. It really doesn't get much better than that. And the Ruger LCP, specifically the LCP2, you can find this one for a pretty good cost. Now again, I can't tell you where to go buy guns. That's against YouTube's policies. I just can't do it. This is my job now. Like, this is my only job. So, you know, this video will get demonetized quicker than anything if I tell you, yeah, go here, go there. But what I will say is we all have access to Google. There you go. We all have smartphones. Any and everybody can find these prices. There's not some like mystery website that just gun tubers go to find prices like these. Now, let's say these prices go up in the future. Well, your budget guns will still be budget guns, although they'll be a little bit higher. Your high-end guns will still, you know, be high-end guns. They're not really ever going to outdo one another. So even if you watch this 10 years in the future, these are still going to be like the budget type of guns. So just keep that in mind as well. Depending on what your budget are though, the LCP2 specifically, they updated the trigger from the original LCP, and this is a true pocket pistol. Now don't expect this gun to be one that you want to take to the range every single weekend. These things pretty much suck to shoot, but if somebody's on top of you, these things are so awesome to conceal. I mean, if you get a Tulster holster, the Tulster holster's like this freaking big. It's literally like carrying, I mean, almost nothing as far as the weight goes. And so it is a gun that you could use to protect your life. And so the LCP2 is a fantastic little pocket or backup gun. Don't think that when you see the size of this gun, don't think, oh man, this would be perfect for my wife or girlfriend. Especially if she doesn't know how to shoot. If she knows how to shoot and she knows how to handle herself, sure. But if she doesn't, don't try to teach her on this thing, dude. She will hate it, and you will end up being the one that carries this gun, okay? So I'm just being honest with you. But for a little 6-round pocket pistol, this thing is pretty great, and the price is pretty much unbeatable. If you go up just a little bit, you can get the Ruger LCP Max, which is a 380 still, but it has a 10+1 capacity. That's actually what Mrs. Headshot carries most of the time. Now let's bump it up to the 400 and less. Hey, if you're liking the video so far, consider subscribing to the channel and hit your notifications so you never miss a video from me. It's completely free to do. Love to have you join the community right here. And I'm going to start this list off with one of my all-time favorite carry guns. This is the original M&P Shield. This gun, again, like the EC9S, is thin. It was one of the guns that started the thin Micro 9 guns that still had the same type of features as their bigger counterparts, okay? So this gun has the slide serrations and it feels really good in the hand, and this is an incredible gun. 7 and 8+ capacity, and this is one of the smallest guns that you can use to defend yourself, where you can feel super confident with this gun. Once you get practice and you learn this gun, my goodness, this is, it is pretty incredible. And also, you know, the trigger isn't great on the original Shield, but when you think about it in that time period, when pretty much all M&Ps, the triggers just sucked, the Shield was pretty revolutionary for the M&P lineup in pushing them, and now they exceed a lot of companies in the triggers that they have, especially in the Shield Plus and the new M&Ps. They're really fantastic. So the Shield, the original Shield trigger is usable. It's something you can definitely learn. Not the best, but again, for 400 and less, the Shield is definitely the one to beat in this list. Another one that I really like a lot, is the PPS M2. Now this is a 6+1 capacity or 7+1. The grip really starts to get super long. I think they even make an 8+1, but man, the grip is like the size of a Glock 19, maybe longer. I mean, really, it's kind of silly, but in a flush configuration, this has one of the best set of sights and one of the better triggers in the single stack Micro 9mm you can find. Has a great feel in the hand, textured really well too, so the Shield kind of lacks on the original Shield lacks on the texturing, so it can get kind of slick when your hands get, I mean, it's not like you can't shoot the frickin' thing, but you know what I'm saying. It will tend to move around a little bit maybe in your hands, whereas the PPS M2 feels really natural. It's one of the better shooting Micro 9s out there, and again, 400 and less, the PPS M2, it needs an update, something bad for 2022, 2023, but a fantastic gun nonetheless. And to round out this list is another Taurus, the Taurus GX4. Man, 11+1 capacity, This is the first gun that has been updated that we've talked about so far, that you're going to get awesome capacity, 11+1. You're going to get really an incredible shooting gun for as small as they are, and you're going to get that increased capacity. And the Taurus GX4 is one of the best, budget style updated micro 9s that you can truly buy. It is a great pistol. Now let's bump it up to $450 to $600 range, and this is kind of the cream of the crop in my opinion. We actually have like 5 or 6 guns that I'm going to tell you about in this one section. And we're going to start it out with the Glock 26 Gen 3, and that's on the lower end of the 450, or you can go up to the upper end and get like a Gen 5. So the Glock 26, very short overall height, but the benefit here is that all of your accessories for Glock, right, will work with the 26. So sights, the magazines work whether you get a 26 or a 27. The bigger mags will work in the gun, so that's great as far as your compatibility, and you get a gun that has been reliable since the mid-90s. Glock 26 is a fantastic option on both ends of the spectrum, from $450 on the Gen 3 to around $600 on the Gen 5. Another gun we'll talk about that kind of started the thin micro 9 higher capacity market, really set the carry world on fire, is the P365. You get a decent trigger and the best set of pistol sights on any pistol. Hands down, the P365 is an incredible gun. Now, if you want to spend a little bit more money and you want a Shield, this is where the Shield Plus comes in. And this is hands down the best shooting micro 9 on the planet. In my hands, best trigger, awesome set of sights, carries really well, 10 and 13+1 capacity. It does not get any better in 2022, and for the foreseeable future, in my opinion, it does not get any better than the Shield Plus. If you save up and spend a little bit more money, you are going to get the best gun, like I said, in my opinion, as far as concealed carry goes. Now, I just raised a point about saving money. Let's say you put a gun on layaway. Well, that gun does you no good, especially if that's your only gun you're gonna have or you're gonna start out with. So if it's gonna take you 3 months, 6 months, a year possibly to pay off this gun, I don't know anywhere that goes out to a year, but you know what I'm saying. It's better to buy something more budget friendly now, save up your money for in the future, and then sell that gun later on and get something that you really want. I know it's an old kind of cliche thing to say, but it really does hold a lot of weight. It's very true. A budget gun in your hands is better than a great gun on layaway. So there you go. There's that. I hate to say it, but it is very, very true. Next gun we'll talk about is the Hellcat Pro. Hear me out here. This is a 15+1 capacity gun with the thinness and just a little bit more weight than a Shield Plus, and 15+1 capacity, and you can put an optic on it. The Hellcat Pro has really impressed me, and the more I shoot it, it impresses me more. Not a huge fan of the sights on this gun, but man, this thing is really a game changer. Where the P365 was a game changer, for me the Shield Plus has been a game changer. The Hellcat Pro has now pushed concealed carry where you have, like I said, a 15+1 capacity. Now that doesn't come without its limitations or issues, because you have a little bit more weight and it's going to be a little bit harder to conceal. But man, the Hellcat Pro is more impressive as time goes on, and that's a great choice if you like Springfield Armory. And then the last two we'll talk about, if you want a little bit more capacity than the P365 and the ability to add an optic, the P365 XL is gonna be your choice. One of the most natural guns that I've ever put in my hand. Perfect grip size. I mean, absolutely perfect. Points supernaturally. P365 XL is where it's at if you want those features from the 365, but you want a little bit more. And again, best set of pistol sights, any gun, period. And rounding out this list is the Glock 43X. Now, I'm not a huge fan of this gun, but I put it on here because there's a lot of Glock fans that watch my channel, and I make a lot of y'all mad sometimes. But at the same time, if Glock is what you like, You want something thinner than a 26 and a 19 especially, and you want something lighter than both of those guns. It's going to be a little bit taller than most of the updated Micro 9s that we talk about on the list. I mean, hell, it's the size of like the Hellcat Pro, you know, minus a millimeter or so, or, you know, whatever, but it's about the same size as the Hellcat Pro, and yet the Glock 43X has 10 rounds, Hellcat Pro has 15. That's impressive on the Hellcat, not so much on the Glock. But again, if you like the Glock and you want a Glock, but you want all those things I just talked about, the 43X, it is a good option, and you can get the MOS version, which is optics ready. The final list we're going to talk about is 750 and up, and this is where I think people start to check out, like, look, that's too much for a carry gun. But what you're going to get for these higher end carry guns is one, I mean, most of the time they are just absolutely, not only functionally, they work amazing, but they're beautiful guns, and they're designed for concealed carry. They're designed to get some scratches. They're designed to save your life. So not that that really matters, but you will get a really awesome, incredible gun. At least these ones that I've put in my hands. And the first one we're going to start out with is the VP9SK. It's a little bit longer than the Glock 26, but man, this is one of the best shooting guns that I've put in my hands. It really is special. I wish they would update it for the Micro 9 market, but at the same time, this one's unique because you can change all of the panels on the sides and on the back to really mold it to your hand. VP9SK, if you want something a little bit bigger, 10+1 capacity, so again, it's a little bit dated, and every year that goes by, it's starting to show its age a little more, but still a great subcompact or compact type of gun. And keep in mind what I just said there, subcompact. It's subcompact, SK subcompact in the VP9 lineup, where other guns might call themselves a compact in that lineup. So the wording can be a little misleading sometimes. Some of y'all aren't gonna like this gun, but so far I've had great experience with it, and that's the Shadow Systems CR920. I did not even realize the kind of hate this gun gets. If it turns out to be a piece of junk and I'm wrong about it, well then so be it. And that's what it is. But right now, it's been reliable. I'm gonna give it a fair chance, just like every gun. You get a truly custom carry gun straight from the factory. Watch my video on it. I recently reviewed it. So far, this has been a really awesome gun. And the last one we're going to talk about, the P365 Spectre Comp. This one too got a lot of hate. It's a $1,200 carry gun. It's a lot of money, but it is one of the best looking and one of the more accurate guns in this lineup, in this line of guns that I've had the pleasure of actually shooting and reviewing. Built-in comp on the slide, so you don't have to worry about it. You just get the benefits of that comp. Of course, optics ready. Of course, it comes with the X-ray sights, like all the P365s. Great set of sights, optics ready, flat face trigger. This is, you know, one of the cream of the crop carry guns. Also, the X Macro. That's brand new, and that's a little bit more expensive as well, but you get 17 rounds. So the P365 is 10, the XL is 12, the Spectre Comp is 12, the X Macro is 17. And it is a little bit longer than those other guns, which will make a difference. Every inch and size difference does make a difference inside the waistband, but let me tell you, this gun is absolutely like another game changer. Like, these companies are coming up with designs in the magazines and the grip modules that allows them to put more and more rounds into these guns. I understand that some of y'all are in restricted states. I hate that for you, but if you're not in a restricted state, the X Macro or the Spectre Comp, again, 2 SIGs, are fantastic in 2 different ways. The X Macro is compensated as well. So if you don't care about the gold trigger and barrel, and you don't care about the little things that it has, and you just want like maximum capacity and you want a gun that feels like a full-size gun, that's basically what it is, but the thinness and the lightness of a Micro 9, it's not really a Micro 9, but you know what I'm saying. In this case, the X Macro, one of the best ones, along with the Hellcat Pro in that bigger concealed carry market. There you go. That's the list. We just covered a lot in the span of 20 something minutes there. So I hope that this list is able to help you out. Hopefully you can take this information and then make an informed decision for yourself. If you like what I do and you want to support what I do, you can do that on Patreon for as little as $1 and join our community over there. I would love to have you. Thank you guys for joining me. See you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.